Each year, more than half of the people in the United States set a New Year's resolution. And year after year, the most popular resolution is to lose weight or to get in shape. Whether you are trying to keep a New Year's resolution that you recently made, or you just want to maximize your performance as a coach, a parent, or in some other area, make health and wellness a priority. Your physical condition influences your mental condition and your spiritual condition, and your overall condition influences your ability to perform as a leader. That is why John Wooden chose condition as one of the 15 blocks in the pyramid of success. For coaches, this is great information for your players, but it is also great information for you. The downfall of quite a few talented and successful coaches can be traced back to an unbalanced life that resulted in a lack of condition, which made it impossible for them to maintain their previous level of success. When people imagine getting in shape, they usually think of changing how much or how often they exercise or what they eat. Nutrition and exercise are important, but there are a couple of other really important things to think about when trying to get in shape, like sleep and postural health. These 4 areas of wellness are inseparable and form a continuous loop that we'll call the wellness circle. The wellness circle can either work for you or work against you. It's your choice. Unfortunately for many people, it's a vicious circle that goes like this. Most of us simply don't get enough sleep. When we don't get enough sleep, our self-control is compromised. When our self-control is compromised, we make poor food choices. When we make poor food choices, we lack energy. When we lack energy, we don't exercise. When we don't exercise, we spend too much time sedentary, especially by sitting down at a desk or on a couch. When we sit down all day, our bodies become posturally misaligned. When our bodies get out of alignment, we experience pain, especially in the neck and back. And when we go to bed in pain, we find it more difficult to get to sleep and to stay asleep. And so the vicious circle continues. Does this sound familiar? Do you often feel tired, sluggish, and sore? Well, congratulations. You're the new normal. But unless you're in middle school, being normal and fitting in to the crowd isn't always a good thing. What is popular is not always right. And even if this vicious circle is your past and your present, it doesn't need to be your future. If you don't want to be one of the millions of people caught in this vicious circle, pay attention and we'll try to get your victorious circle in motion. Let's return to the most popular New Year's resolution, to get in shape. This is a very reasonable and important aspiration for many, given that almost 1/3 of the population in some countries are obese and many more are overweight. And it isn't as if people in certain countries aren't trying. The intention to begin exercising regularly is why more people join health clubs around January 1st than any other time of the year. Many people who set a goal to get in shape start their January by trying to exercise regularly, maybe even putting a number on it, say exercising at least 40 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And this is a good start because effective goals are SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Someone once said that a goal is a dream with a deadline. By the SMART standard, resolving to exercise for at least 40 minutes a day, at least 5 days a week, is in fact specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound for most people. So why do 90% of New Year's resolutions fall by the wayside sometime in late January or early February? Exercise is essential to health and wellness, But it may be that starting with a focus on increasing exercise is not the best strategy if someone wants to get in shape. Let me explain. If by getting in shape we really mean reducing body fat, nutrition is a much more influential factor than exercise. People who begin a new exercise program but continue to eat the same get frustrated after a few weeks when their faithful adherence to their new regimen does not pay dividends on the bathroom scale. So out of frustration, they give up and stop exercising. The reality that nutrition is more influential in body fat levels is also why zealous, sometimes even compulsive adherence to a cardiovascular exercise program is no match for the freshman 15 that many college students experience in their first year eating away from home. That and the reality that beer and other alcoholic beverages have lots of empty calories. A second reason why focusing on a new exercise routine may not be the ideal strategy is that the focus on exercise fails to address obstacles that will arise throughout the year. So unless other habits are modified, it is really difficult to develop a habit of exercising. The most common reasons that people don't exercise is a perceived lack of time. For some people, this is more of an excuse than an explanation. In many cases, the reality is not that people lack the time to exercise, but that they don't prioritize exercise when deciding how to spend their time. Some don't even decide how to spend their time. They just do whatever those around them are doing. For people who don't already enjoy being physically active, exercise needs to be categorized in their minds with the things that they need to do. Work, sleep, eat, spend time with family, rather than the things they may want to do. Watch TV, catch up on the most time-sensitive stories covered by Us magazine, and so on. Two additional reasons why people don't exercise are lack of energy and because it hurts. A deeper look at the wellness circle will provide some insight into why these excuses are so popular and what you can do to avoid these obstacles. Let's start again with sleep. Something everyone needs to survive and something everyone needs to thrive. We live busy lives full of tempting distractions that keep us up at night and prevent us from getting the 7.5 to 8.5 hours of sleep that we need for our brains to recuperate. Our brains are a little bit like a camera lens. If a camera lens doesn't get cleaned once in a while, it gets foggy, and the picture isn't clear. Likewise, if we don't get enough sleep, our brains are not able to function as efficiently, and it is difficult to stay focused. Recently, researchers have found that when we sleep, our brains literally clean themselves. But when our brains don't have time for their nightly cleaning, they get foggy. And what happens is that our self-control is compromised, and we tend to make worse decisions. When people are tired, they crave unhealthy food full of fats and sugars, especially sugar. And again, when people are sleep deprived, they are less able to inhibit their impulses, and therefore they are more likely to give in to the impulse to eat sugary snacks. And these sugary snacks cause insulin spikes that cause us to feel better for a little while, but every peak has a trough, and every high has a low, and what goes up must come down. So these insulin spikes result in feelings of sluggishness throughout the day. And what do? Do we adjust our sleep? No. Do we change our diet? Of course not. We drink coffee, caffeinated soft drinks, and increasingly, we buy energy drinks. There is an entire industry built around our desire to replace sleep with something less time-consuming. Americans alone spent over $12.5 billion on energy drinks in 2012. and the industry is on pace to surpass $21.5 billion by 2017. We drink these concoctions to get through our days because we are sleep deprived, we are making poor food choices, and consequently, we are feeling lethargic. When we feel lethargic, we are much more likely to put off exercise until tomorrow, or the next day, or the next January. People who resolve to get in shape will want to look at how their sleep habits influence their nutrition, and how their nutrition influences their motivation to exercise. When people fail to get enough exercise, it usually means that they are spending the vast majority of their waking hours in a seated position. Our generation sits far more than any generation in the history of the world. For most of human history, people spent their days hunting, gathering, or later, subsistence farming. Each of these activities involved hours and hours of light to moderate physical activity each day. And importantly, each of these avocations required quite a bit of standing. But technological advancements in transportation, communication, education, and entertainment have led to dramatic increases in the amount of time we spend sitting down. Unfortunately for us, our bodies were not intended to stay seated. When we sit down for prolonged periods of time, day after day, our posture changes. If you don't believe me, just do a Google or Yahoo search for class photos from the 1950s or 1960s and compare them to class photos today. You'll notice that the erect posture of children from decades past is quite different from the slumped posture of more recent cohorts. This is due to the reality that children spend far more time sitting today. When people young and old experience back and neck pain, they are less motivated and sometimes less able to exercise. And just as important, people who experience back and neck pain find it more difficult to get to sleep and stay asleep, thereby contributing to the vicious circle. The inclination for those wanting to get in shape is to start with exercise, but another approach would be to start with sleep. If people get more sleep, they're able to use their time more efficiently, which decreases the likelihood that lack of time will prevent them from exercising. If people get more sleep, they are more rested and are more likely to make better food choices, thereby decreasing the likelihood that lack of energy will prevent them from exercising. And if people get more sleep, make better food choices, and get more exercise, they are less likely to experience the back and neck pain that will interfere with their sleep. So foregoing exercise because it hurts is less of an obstacle. When trying to change something in your life, you need to be deliberate about changing your behavior until your new behavior becomes a habit. And it usually takes at least 3 or 4 weeks to develop a new lifestyle habit. But your investment of effort pays dividends when your habit works for you, when you continue the good behavior without much effort. So here is a recommendation. If you want to get in shape, start by changing your sleep. Take a good look at the way you spend your time each day and try to find 30 or even 60 minutes of your sedentary time each day to repurpose for sleep. If you can succeed in making this a habit, you will be healthier. You will be more alert. You will have an easier time resisting temptations. And as an added bonus, you are likely to live longer. You can't totally control how much sleep you get, but you probably can control your nighttime routine. When you get in bed, what you do before and after getting in bed, and so on. Basketball players have a pre-shot routine that helps them make free throws. Basically a procedure that they go through habitually to help them focus on the back of the rim and prepare themselves to make the shot. Some parents realize that a bedtime routine is equally important for their kids to get them to bed as quickly and peacefully as possible each night. But a bedtime routine can be helpful for adults as well. Try to go to bed at a reasonable and consistent time each night, and create a routine to make getting to bed at a reasonable and consistent time a habit. Put the computer and smartphone away until morning. Maybe even make putting your phone in sleep mode part of your evening routine. Again, you don't have total control over how much sleep you get each night, especially if you're a parent. But you can put yourself in a position where you are more likely to get the rest that you need to succeed. Getting more sleep may even start to influence your nutrition, as you will be less likely to crave sugary foods. We'll talk more about nutrition another time. But until then, sleep well and enjoy the increased productivity and renewed energy.